Alrighty, well I have had a few business ideas over the years. One I tried to go ahead with, and I realised that I learnt a few things about business during that time. I realised that advertising is fucking expensive. Holy smoke. I also realised that because it was more a labouring based business, that you get a lot of people who have this idea that what they take home after tax should be the same amount that they're paying you per hour. Like they do 40 hours in their job, they should be able to use the after-tax pay that they have to pay for your 40 hours, regardless of the point that you're trying to pay hundreds of dollars for advertisements, $80 a month in insurance alone, plus fuel up your vehicle, plus buy equipment and everything like that, and they want you to do it all for nothing, basically. Do it all for the same amount that they're making after tax. It doesn't really work like that. Long story short, advertising is really what killed me. And you know, for every $2 I'd put into advertising, I'd only get $1 back as gross income before I've paid for equipment, I've done anything really, paid for fuel or anything. You know, you put $100 worth of advertisement and get a $50 job out of it. You know, it's just crap. And so that only lasted a few months. Since that time, I have thought to myself, if you want a business, the way you got to go about it is one that, and I am the master of this, low overheads, and you've got other ways of, like with my business, it was cleaning out hoarders' houses. I could work out how to get rid of rubbish without having to use landfill like everybody else does in regards to a lot of things, because I found out you can go to places where they recycle masses of glass, you know, trailerfuls of friggin' books and shit, bang, straight down to Visy, the cardboard recycler. They're the same guys actually that supply the cardboard for the cardboard house. Got a giant big dumpster there, fling all your books in. I ripped all the front and back covers off and flung all these books in. And different things like that. Your wood, bring back to the farm here and make a bonfire heap, you know. And at the end of the day, the only thing I actually had to throw was plastics. Any metal, bang, straight into scrap metal. You know, at the end of the day, it was just plastics and a handful of other random bits and pieces that synthetic clothes and shit like that, that I had to throw away, you know. And I'll get certain things that are appliances, smash them open for the electric motor, you know, things like that, because of the copper in the electric motor. Yeah, that was the way I had it worked out. So I had very little overhead costs in, you know, regards to all that. But I have sort of pondered with the idea of, and I would love to do it too, I think it might be my true calling, is to be a vehicle wrecker. I don't mean just scrap metal the vehicles. I mean buy vehicles that are damaged, that are what they call economic repairable write-offs, also sometimes known as just repairable write-offs. That's when you have a car that might be like a Frenchie or one of these ones that's a European car, it's a reasonably, you know, pricey thing. Citroen, Peugeot, Volvo, Benz, BMW, Audi, something like that. And then someone goes and side swaps it. Now you can get one that's been in a friggin' real fuck up, and or, you know, has had something nasty happen to it, like caught on fire, but then they've, you know, put it out and you got this burnt out vehicle. But the fenders you need haven't, you know, they're not damaged because the fire brigade got it out before then. There's the other ones that you get that are stolen and recovered. They're Usually got stickers on the window saying beware of sticking your hand down the back seats because there's going to be syringes down there. I stuck my nose into, I sort of looked around about all this ages ago. I know when I hit the roo with this thing, and I'd only had this thing like, it was like a few weeks or something, 6 weeks or something, and I hadn't even had the propane, the gas system done on it, and friggin' little roo come out just on dusk in a heavily forested area and friggin' slammed the shit out of the side. The fender for this second-hand fender, $350. The friggin' front light was $400. I'm going, what the fuck is this? This is only a Ford. This is not a Mercedes-Benz, it's a Ford. It's a flagship model. It's got the friggin' leather seats and the stupid fake wood grain that you can probably see. Leather seats, all that sort of horse shit. But as a result, the base model has a different shaped bonnet, different shaped fender, and different shaped front headlights and all that. So I had to get one of these from a Wreckers, and well, they claimed they were harder to get. Yeah. I know where to go to get these auctions, where all these big auctions are, for all these repairable write-offs for the stolen and recovered. I remember one of them there, stolen and recovered. I'm not shitting, literally half the bonnet was fucking fingerprint dust. And the keys all hanging out and shit. You got other ones that have been in crashes that have got the airbag blown out and blood on the airbag and shit like that, and whatever. A lot of side swipes and shit like that. But they're not too hard to get. In fact, there is one that's in Melbourne that I can do online, and I can bid for this thing all on my tablet, and it works. Looking it up and everything, I haven't actually bidded for any, but I come bloody close to doing so. Some of you may know what a W140 chassis is for a Mercedes-Benz. The particular model, most of them were made in 1994 or 1996. I used to see these as a teenager when they were basically new, and I fell in love with them. And they are basically the S-Class Mercedes of the mid-90s. They are huge, bloody huge. Real long wheelbase, big bubbled out blooming body on them, and they're just enormous. When you see them, you think you've seen a stretch. For a second, I always used to look and think, is that a stretch? Oh no, it's only 4-door. But that was the W140 chassis Mercedes. I've seen them go from about 35 grand down to about 2 grand. I saw one 9 months, a year back, and it was 2,500. Beautiful paint job on it still, and I had to hold myself back from bidding on it. I really did. I almost wanted to set up an account and bid on it, and I brother-in-law's parents could have picked it up there because they're down there and they're retired. No, oh shit, I had to hold myself back. And lo and behold, I was on that site, and guess what? One that's pretty much the same sort of a one. Now, these are the last of the ones before the bean counters come into Mercedes-Benz and started telling them we've got to try and justify a cost. This is the last model where they were just told, build it as good as you can build it, as reliable, and we're not worried about the cost because we're selling these things to millionaires anyway. And this is the last model of them, and they are built like a fucking tank, and they're very reliable and very good. Sure, the interiors are probably going a bit funny on some of them, but this one they had that I saw the same colour as the other one I saw a year back. Actually, it was an S320, and I think the other one was too. You got S280, S320, S420, S500, and occasionally S600, which is the big V12. And this thing had recently passed road. It wasn't being sold with a roadworthy, but it had recently passed roadworthy. They stated as a minor note, just a note. They've got all these notes. If there's anything that's fucked up, they'll tell you. Note: has dents consistent with hail damage. Unfortunately, it looked like it had a little bit of, must have copped a little bit of hail damage on the roof or something. Note: has recently passed roadworthy for Victoria. Not sold with roadworthy or warranty, but with a bit of luck, you might have to look in the glove box or the centre console, but that roadworthy certificate hopefully might be in the glove box or the centre console, and basically I could drive it straight from the auction and get it registered and get plates put on it, within a couple of days. Generally, you've got to book in and wait a few days, but I could have driven it straight home and then from home to the registration branch and bingo. But I don't really need a Mercedes-Benz at this point, even though I love them. And you don't want to get any newer than 95 because they're pains in the arse. I was having a look at different Volvos way back as well, and I've since talked to my mechanic about this, and I said, there's a particular model of Volvo I see quite a few of going through, and I can get these things for friggin' peanuts. And the nice car, the heated steering wheel, heated seats, heated mirrors, made in Sweden. Everything imaginable is heated on these damn things. You never get cold fingers touching these things, because they're all, everything's all like a European car, a lot of fancy fandangles. And he said, they're shit. And I said, I can get these things cheap. If I got like two, maybe I can make a good one out of one of them. And I said, some of these things, they are that cheap. Some of the cars are good, and they're so cheap that they're half or third the price of what you buy them in the car yard. And I'm thinking maybe you're just buying them and reselling them. Just, whack them out on a main road not far from me and put a for sale sign on. See how we go. And I thought, what happens if you accidentally buy a dud and you only realise when you get back that the bastard's got real engine issues and nobody wants to buy it? Then what? Or you might be hanging onto this damn thing for months before you move it. And I told him about a Volvo there I saw for $260, and he was telling me about a VW that he had come in. I shouldn't say who owns it, but basically it's a van, and this thing, this was like last year. It was a 2000 this might have only been 6 months back or something. 2007? Yeah, 2007 model. It was last year, and it was a 2007 model, and driving it around some of the hills around here, they blew the bloody transmission on it. He said it was sitting in the yard as he's had done something to my car, and he said, that thing there, it's been sitting there for a few weeks now. He said, I rang up about getting a transmission from VW. $6,000 for transmission. And he said the whole friggin' vehicle in good condition's probably only worth 8 or 9, and I looked into getting a second-hand one, $4,500, second-hand. And he said basically it's only a 7-year-old van, and it's fucked. And they've got to sell it to the wreckers for parts because the transmission's blown, and it's not economic to actually pour more money in, because you're pouring almost the same money in as what the entire bloody thing's worth if it's good. So why would you bother? One more thing fails on it and you've spent more money on the bloody thing than it's even worth, So in the end they end up going and getting a Toyota Tarago. But I said, well, I've seen these Volvos that one of them, $260 it went for. Electronic problem with the gearbox. They can't get the bitch to actually go in a gear. They can move the stick, but they can't actually get it to drop in and drive. And some electronic box problem. And he said, yeah, heaps of shit. And I said, but you could buy something like that and don't worry about the transmission, just take the engine out and resell the engine. And I said, you'd probably sell the engine for $2.5 or $3 grand, wouldn't you? And he said, yeah, you would. And he said, well, shit, you could pull that out, sell the engine for $2.5 grand, and then just put the rest on the back of your car trailer and take it into scrap metal. And he said to me, and you know what? That's probably exactly what is going to happen with that. It'll go to a wrecker, the wrecker will rip out the engine, maybe grab, the indicator lights, the grille, any of the other little plastic bits that, are good and sometimes broken, especially the indicator lights, and rip the bumpers off it, maybe the fenders, doors, bonnet, whatever, so long as they're not dented. And then any doors that are dented or anything else that's left, just roll it on with the transmission still in it, send it to scrap metal. And he said, and that's most likely exactly what is going to happen to it. And I thought, holy smoke, this is, business opportunity. Shit, I've got all this friggin' land. I haven't got much that I can hide vehicles on, although I've had a bloody lot of vehicles there previously. But if I put them in the right spot near my house, you can't see, well, a couple of acres from the road you can't see actually. So, yeah, you could hide a few there. You wouldn't want to overdo it in case the local government gets shitty. There are other farmers who I may be able to do deals with if I have an excess of stock that needs to be hidden elsewhere. Sure, I can do plenty of deals with some of the locals who have land that is terribly rocky and rather unproductive, and I'm sure that if there's a few trees, or I know in areas there's actually big piles of rocks, that I could just hide vehicles there and pay them a bit of rent. But failing that, I just don't get oversupplied, or I have a few shipping containers, strip the vehicles down of all the good parts, shove them in the shipping containers, and send off the shell to scrap metal. I am really thinking of doing South Korean vehicles because they are as cheap as piss. I can get anything from 2000 to 2005 model in your small little tiddly South Korean stuff, $300, and these are in such good quality you would not need to take a car trailer to the auction. You would literally just get your trader plates, which are what a car trader uses. Long story short, my uncle's friend used to be a mechanic. He had a lot of old shitty vehicles that they're actually in reasonably good condition. They ran quite fine because he was a mechanic, so he never had any that didn't run bad. They looked like old shit boxes, and they sort of were, Mazda Bongo van and this old friggin' Suzuki full drive and shit. This cop decided he was going to be a prick and start putting them all off the road because he had another property only, half a mile down or whatever. He'd drive down there to feed the cows and all that, jam the back full of friggin' hay bales. And then anyway, this arsehole went and put an unroadworthy sticker on several of these vehicles, and he couldn't drive them, so he said, well, fuck that. So he went and got, because he knew who's who in the zoo, having been a qualified mechanic and all that, he went and got trader plates. It only cost him about $180 a year or something pretty low, only a couple of $100 a year to be a trader. It comes with trader plates. You buy this little plastic hoogla-magoog that you put these plates in, and you hook it onto the hitch for the trunk or the boot where the latch closes. You hook it onto that and then just hang it out the back of the vehicle. And so he done exactly that, and the damn cop couldn't stop him driving it because he was a registered vehicle trader, and you can drive any old shitbox vehicle so long as you've got those plates hanging off. I need to get a set of those plates, and a lot of these vehicles, you might, need to fill them up, and I think they might have fuel bowser at a lot of these auctions. So you fill her up, and with enough of, what you needed to get back to my place, and basically just hang your trader plates out the back, and you drive the bastard back. You wouldn't need to tow it back on the back of anything. But I would have to deliver a lot of parts, so I'd probably get a van. $1,100 for a shitty one about year 2000. I can get, I think it's an 05 or an 07 Hyundai automatic van, $2,800. I'm not joking, the thing looks pretty good too. All of these are from these auction places because everything's about a third to half the price of what you're going to pay in a car yard. And yeah, I think the way to go is South Korean vehicles. And as I said, I can get these things for friggin' $300 each and probably drive them back, strip them down, and I wouldn't really need to advertise because who you need to be in touch with is mechanics and body repair shops, and that's really what you need. And therefore you don't advertise, you just hit the streets and hand out a lot of bloody business cards. And I done that before with my business with real estate agents instead. And yeah, you just got to make one day a week, I think it is, that they generally have for going around with their deliveries. And I am even considering maybe doing a bit of work experience for a wrecker to see how they run the show and how everything sort of runs in a wreckers. I don't think it'll be one of these ones where I could have the public come in. I think it'll be more one of these ones catered to industry, because if you don't have the public, you don't have to advertise really that much. You really just need to have business cards and go and visit a whole shit ton of different people that you, all the smash repairs places in the phone book, all the mechanics, and go like that. And, you know, that's... we'll see how things play out, but it might not be such a bad idea to do that several days a week and have the job here with the piggery still. And if it gets harder, I'll just be doing the Saturday and the Sunday with them. And like if I get a fair bit of work, I could, you know, just do less hours with them, do the days they need me to be there, which is just the weekend. And yeah, go with that. So that's something I've been pondering. And I mean, as I've said, like, I'm more cashed up in savings now than I've ever been, but it's all in silver sort of thing. So if it all goes well, I might be headed down that path. And my mum will get all she ever wanted. Fucking old cars all over the damn place. But I think there's a real goer in Hyundais because there's only one mob in the capital that deals with South Korean cars such as Hyundais, Kia and Daihatsu, and Daewoo, even though they're getting, there's a few of those around since GM bought out Daewoo, Korea's Daewoo's car manufacturing thing, because Daewoo is apparently the second largest manufacturer in the world, and they do friggin' cannons, like light artillery and everything. They've even got their own assault rifle, and they've got electronics, but the car manufacturing arm was bought out by GM, and so there's not that many Daewoos around, but there's still, you know, ones in the second-hand market, of course. And I tend to notice with these Hyundais and these Daewoos and all that, they're a car of a young female uni student type, college girl type sort of thing, and old ladies. And I was there working at a client's house once when I was building pergolas, and the woman's mum was there, and she was nearly 70 and reversed straight out and almost caused a crash in one of these little Hyundais. And we were both there watching it, me and the client, and she said, God blimey, Mum's a bad driver. Didn't even look backwards. She's too busy waving to me and just reversed straight out into traffic. You see a lot of these Hyundais too at these auctions, all smashed to the shithouse. Some of them are so smashed that you wouldn't offer them any more than scrap metal price. In fact, the stuff and round that you do to get a handful of panels and put the rest in scrap metal, you probably wouldn't even buy the thing. But I'm sure some of the dudes in the capital probably would, because their scrap metal place might be very close to them. And yeah, but anyway, often there's quite good parts in some of the stolen ones, although I've seen stolen ones where they've stripped the friggin' seats out of the bloody thing. And yeah, but I think it'd be a good move to take. And like as I said to me mechanic, you know, with the Volvo, you sell the engine and you've already made tenfold your money. And he said, that's exactly right. You know, and you can, who cares about the rest? You can rip parts off it if you want. If you don't, just scrap metal the friggin' lot of it. If you know the engine's blown or the transmission's blown, go straight into scrap metal. If you're a smart enough cookie, they don't have them anymore really, but they used to have copper radiators, so they separate the radiator out. But generally you want to rip your engine out because your engine is considered heavy steel, and it goes through a different sort of crusher. And you also get paid, how does it work out, about 4 times the cost for the heavy steel than you do for the like sheet metal and crap like that. So that's also a good reason to get under there and rip them out. Plus with cordless drills, I've got a cordless drill and a little thing with all the different sockets that you can put in. You can get impact wrenches that are pretty much the same thing as your normal sockets off your socket set will fit directly in. There's another one that is a cordless ratchet. These are all part of the 12 volt Milwaukee range that I've already got the drill for, and you know, I can recharge it off the solar system, but they've actually got one that looks like it's actually a ratchet. It's like a battery goes in the bottom and you hold onto the handle and you got a tab there and you press the tab in and you got your little socket fitting on the end that you just click in your blooming socket and I think that'd be the way I'd go to pulling apart a lot of these, but yeah, it's a little idea I've been playing with.